People are living longer, but birth rates are dropping. There is a shrinking pool of available adults to care for an expanding aging population. This creates a direct squeeze on adults aged 35 to 55, a group commonly called the sandwich generation. They are caught between raising and funding their own children, while suddenly taking on the new responsibility of managing their aging parents' care. For these caregivers, the tension is immediate. You want to do the right thing and support the people who raised you, but you also have to keep your own household financially and emotionally afloat, often while working full-time. This chart shows the projected aging population against available family support hours. As the rising line of seniors crosses the declining line of available caregivers, it creates a massive, growing deficit in care capacity. Inside an average family, that macro deficit translates into an impossible math problem. There simply aren't enough hours in the day to manage a career, a family, and the increasing medical needs of an aging parent. Relying solely on traditional family duty to bridge this gap no longer works. We have to evaluate eldercare through the lens of structural reality, rather than hoping we can stretch ourselves far enough to cover the shortfall. If we look at the legal framework in systems like the UK, the baseline assumption surprises many families. Unlike the legal requirements of raising a child, adult children have no automatic legal obligation to physically care for or financially support their elderly parents. The individuals themselves, and when necessary the state, hold that legal responsibility. But a lack of legal obligation does not erase societal expectations. Guilt easily fills that vacuum, and that emotional weight frequently drives families to make rapid, panic-induced decisions about housing and care. A more effective approach is to set the guilt aside and run an objective audit. You need to weigh your family's actual capacity, your available time, financial wealth, and psychological resilience against the parent's specific health needs. Treating eldercare as a logistical audit, rather than a test of moral character, is the most reliable way to prevent total caregiver burnout. The first path families usually explore is keeping the parent in their existing home, commonly known as aging in place. Making an older house safe requires immediate structural inputs. This means replacing standard bathtubs with walk-in wet rooms, installing threshold ramps for wheelchairs, and securing grab rails at key transition points. This chart shows the upfront capital required for home modifications compared to the cost of a care facility. While the initial construction costs are high, they are a one-time expense that quickly becomes cheaper than the compounding recurring monthly fees of residential care. The main benefit of this path is autonomy. The parent maintains control over their physical environment and stays anchored to their familiar neighborhood and social routines. But there is a blind spot in this strategy. Fixing the physical architecture of a house does nothing to address cognitive decline, and living alone frequently leads to severe social isolation. Furthermore, the adult child still carries the hidden burden of distant project management. You are the one coordinating grocery deliveries, scheduling doctor appointments, and handling emergencies from afar. Aging in place solves mobility issues efficiently, but it leaves the complex psychological and logistical lifting squarely on the shoulders of the sandwich generation. The second path is the multi-generational home, where the aging parent moves in with the adult child's family. On paper, this solves multiple problems at once. It eliminates external care fees entirely and gives the adult child total, immediate oversight of the parent's well-being. In reality, it generates intense daily friction. You are merging adults with completely different sleep schedules, dietary preferences, and expectations about how a household should operate into a single confined space.
This environment forces a sharp role reversal. The child becomes the authoritative caregiver, and the parent becomes the dependent, which heavily disrupts the established family dynamic. This chart plots caregiver burnout against the parent's loss of autonomy, showing co-living cases clustered in the high burnout, high loss of autonomy quadrant. As caregivers surrender personal time for daily needs, burnout accelerates upward, while forced dependency pushes parents rightward, generating mutual resentment. Multi-generational living often achieves strict financial savings, but it extracts that cost directly from the nuclear family's psychological stability. The third path is relinquishing daily control to third-party facilities or purpose-built residential communities. The immediate barrier here is financial. In England, for example, if a parent has assets above £23,250, they are generally required to self-fund their care entirely, which rapidly depletes their slate exercise. But the options for outsourced care are evolving. Instead of isolating older adults in traditional nursing homes, new models are focusing on intergenerational communities. These developments mix housing types and sizes to attract various age groups, from students to retirees. By clustering the buildings and integrating shared pathways, the architecture itself physically embeds older adults into an active, visible neighborhood. Many of these use HAPPY design principles. HAPPY stands for Housing Our Aging Population Panel for Innovation, UK guidelines prioritizing natural light, adaptability, and peer socialization over institutional, hospital-like layouts. Shared physical infrastructure, like central courtyards and community hubs, encourages natural, daily interaction between generations, while still allowing the parent to retreat to their own private apartment. Outsourced and purpose-built models are expensive and will drain generational wealth, but they provide a highly effective mechanism for legally and emotionally protecting the adult child's own family unit. The right choice depends entirely on applying this evaluation matrix to your family's specific financial and emotional profile. Consider the budget-constrained planner, the caregiver whose primary fear is running out of money before the parent runs out of time. If the parent's cognition is still intact, this profile should aggressively pursue aging in place. Spending capital on localized home modifications yields the highest return on investment by delaying monthly facility fees. Then there is the squeezed sandwich caregiver. This person is already working full-time, raising young children, and is completely bankrupt on time and emotional bandwidth. For this profile, choosing co-living out of a sense of obligation is a mistake that will likely break the household. They need to legally structure the parent's assets to fund external care or dedicated in-home nursing. Accurately matching the housing solution to your actual limitations is the only way to prevent a catastrophic breakdown of the family structure. Finally, there is the proactive optimizer. This family wants the highest quality of life for the parent and isn't in immediate financial panic. They should bypass traditional nursing models and look straight into intergenerational communities. These developments secure the physical safety of the parent while providing the peer engagement needed to stave off cognitive decline. When generations intentionally share a location, they form reciprocal relationships. Younger neighbors provide informal support, and older residents contribute time and experience to the community. The optimal eldercare choice is rarely the one that looks the most sacrificial or noble from the outside. Successfully navigating the eldercare dilemma means accepting your constraints and choosing long-term logistical sustainability over short-term moral guilt.